All right. So this is day 3, effectively. We're now here. I don't even know if that could have been seen. Day 3, which is also 5% of everything. So that's an interesting way to look at things, because essentially we haven't done anything so far except lost some cash and planned. So, of course, that is part of the plan to plan and strategize. And here was the plan from yesterday, or for yesterday. Planning, filming, going to the doctor, and calling the lawyer, front-end code review, new MSOPs. Put that somewhere. It's the new morning framework version 2. So the new way the morning routine here is different is it emphasizes the morning letter, which is essentially trying to carry over like your state from yesterday into the day after. I don't know exactly if it's going to work, but it's kind of therapeutic to try to tell yourself something from the day before to get yourself re-engaged in the morning. And then like essentially state recovery. It's this new like concept I came up with the other day, or day 1 essentially. Well, what are the different ways that one can manage state, right? You can physically interact, pain or positive experience, movement, forward ambulation, as Huberman would say. You have some audio related stuff. All of this is pretty basic. So what was actually interesting to me, and now I haven't thought about how to implement it yet, but let me see here. Yeah, you can tell. So you have your affirmations. I don't really know how to otherwise call it, because it's much broader than just typical affirmations, right? All the different ways that you can essentially talk to yourself, have others talk to your mind, and basically interact with your state. You can talk to a mirror and talk to yourself through that. You can reference some frameworks that you have created, right? What is your purpose? What's your goals? Who were you supposed to be? Oh, that was like a quote I read. You can watch some stuff, you can read some stuff, but I think the most interesting part was over here. Motivational speakers and AI. So, well, when I'm running low on energy, I usually try to listen to some motivational speakers to get me into a proper state, which I did before starting today. And I know this is a bit of an offshoot, but I think it's really interesting. We're going to try and figure out how to integrate it. You can call your friends and family. You can imagine calling them. What would they say? But this is interesting. Well, how much does it matter to you that you get motivated at that very moment? What if you ask your friends and family for once in a lifetime recordings that essentially tells you about how to get motivated, right? I want to you to create me a motivational recording that I will only listen to once when it's really needed. It should be positive, sad, should reference doom or motivational, whatever you feel like. And it can also be video, it can be audio, it can be a letter that people can write to you, it can be an SMS that you can get from people. And I thought this was really interesting. And of course, there's a major potential for AI integration, right? That the AI can provide a script based on your personal preferences. It can also provide a soundtrack that should be used when your friends and family try to record a video, just to get them to have the easiest potential way of creating something that you can listen to when you're having a hard time, right? Yeah, that was the start of like state management framework. I think this is really interesting. I want to put more focus on that eventually. So that, yeah, state management, state recovery, I haven't really put thought into how to exactly have an exact logical framework for it. Right now I'm just doing one thing or another thing and seeing how it's progressing or not. You can go to the cold plunge if you're not feeling ready for the 2K run. Otherwise the rest is pretty self-explanatory, except now it also includes evening orders and planning strategy, video recording, editing, distribution. I'm hoping to have everything ready by 7. Now, crucially, it's not 7 right now. So this wasn't followed today. And we'll get to that. Day 2, what happened around here is that I was actually in front of the plan for that day until ordering Amazon and going to the pharmacy. Ordering Amazon took a lot longer than I originally planned out. And essentially, it's just like this massive, Amazon, you need item, but do you? And then what other items do you need? And then the price. Then comparison. Honestly, I don't know that one. And then you check reviews, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And then at the end, it's like, buy or not. And that process is so detrimental to my mental state. It's just, then I go to the pharmacy to try to like reestablish my mentality, go for a run, and I come back from the run, and essentially by then my mentality, I'm feeling pretty burned out, pretty unfocused, and I work on these. But the actual frameworks, like I do the research, the actual frameworks are not completed, and I end up with bedtime around 8:30, which is relatively okay, but considering that I pushed the evening routine so far, when I was essentially procrastinating working on these items, was really not ideal. On the positive side of things, I did get some other unrelated stuff done, but it's not. I will have to somehow integrate the frameworks that I'm missing eventually. And I'm hoping this day could be the last day for planning and structurizing before actually starting to progress on some code-related activities. And so that's my general thought process. There's an intro. I haven't really developed it yet, but it's like something like, well, so you stumbled across this video, and actually that's quite surprising because it's not meant to be seen, this video. It's just for me to practice essentially until I get to a state where I feel comfortable with actively trying to market my brand or myself or what I'm all about, right? And then it's like, so we have a bigger purpose. The purpose is not to make like millions and millions of dollars. It's to try to change the world. And I think this like purpose document is pretty shit or pretty bad. It should just be essentially encapsulating what is the current focus, or maybe just the purpose is to fix the problems in the world. Something stronger. I don't like this one. Yeah. So yesterday didn't go as planned, and I tried to make up for that this morning, and that of course meant that I ended up pushing the recording past when I wanted to do the recording, and then I've been procrastinating for a long time doing today's recording. And that's where we are now, essentially. So, updating stats. We have gone back in liquidity. $256. And 2,000. This is the Amazon order. 45. So that's of course not a deal. Oh, I think I wanted to emphasize on this. So the intro should be including because obviously the video quality here is very low. So the chance of it going anywhere is essentially zero, right? And that's why the next thing is the new rules. Because I want to prevent myself from being discouraged. So I have to figure out how to configure my computer. I'm thinking some custom CSS rules that hides I can't check views. And so this is twofold, because it's both detrimental for me to know that somebody is watching this, because I will try even less to try and post them. I absolutely hate having like videos of low quality, potentially not projecting myself good enough. And so the moment there is like, 100 people viewed the video, what are they gonna think? And my mind will go absolutely ballistic with trying to make everything perfect and therefore never ending up posting anything. So the purpose right now is essentially to try to not get an understanding if there is views, or even if that's positive in general, right? There might be viewership. But if there is viewership, that puts a higher emphasis on me trying to create a higher quality video, and so I will stop making videos. On the other hand, if I check the views and I see that I have 0 views, that is super detrimental to my motivation towards it. So the only way that I can continue doing this is essentially by having this Schrodinger's viewership limbo setup. That was the second rule. Can't check views. Let's put a timeline on it. Let's not put a timeline on it. I was thinking like I need to get accustomed and used to dealing with that, right? The negativity or the positivity, but we can offset. We can put a deadline for when we should put a deadline. Let's do that. Put deadline. In 3 days. So that's the start of next week, right? That's the second rule. Ooh, 24-hour release window. So this is essentially because I am trying to buy myself an additional day so that I could today have both videos edited, the one from yesterday and the one for today at the same time, because I had not done the editing of the video yesterday. And then when I had said, okay, then I will do it after I've done these things, or in the evening routine, replace some of that. But essentially, I'm now giving myself a 24-hour buffer of releasing the videos, because essentially one aspect is recording them, which I will do every day, but the release of those videos has to take place within a 24-hour time period, right? And then it's just like today. So yeah, if you have the, if you're thinking that it's currently, oh wait, I didn't even, that another major reason why the whole thing went batshit crazy is because I lost my original watch, and so I bought a new used one for $40. But I had to negotiate or get the guy to give me his PIN code because he hadn't reset the watch and everything. And this whole setting up the watch was something I wanted to do, but not needing to do. And it ended up taking like 3 hours back and forth, and essentially like waiting for somebody to respond and then doing nothing, procrastinating meanwhile. So this is very problematic to receive packages in the middle of the day like that. So maybe we should have a rule for packages. Can only pick up or deal with packages in evening routine / construction. All right, that's a new rule. That would prevent that from ruining the day in the future. And what I was about to say before I interrupted myself with the Pixel Watch revelation was that it's currently 2:43. So I've already spent most of the day productively, luckily, but essentially procrastinating on creating this video. But here was the initial thought process behind the day. Morning rational is done, planning is done, set up boardroom I've done, set up plans. Now this is where I made it difficult for myself because I wanted to make a recording framework before starting the recording, which meant that I didn't start the recording, and I also created the editing framework. And by the time I needed to start recording, I essentially started organizing everything and doing the boardroom and doing some of these other frameworks that was not needed in terms of this exact moment. So it's essentially a procrastination routine, which means, or it emphasizes how important it is for me to follow this new morning routine, right? I'm gonna hang it somewhere else or take it down so that I remember, so that the filming can be done in the morning so I don't procrastinate the whole day. Here's an interesting thing. So, Millionaire or Bankrupt, most important skills, Brian. So, comfortable in front of camera. This is the reason why I'm trying to set up this super convoluted rule set and trying to make it as easy as possible for myself to feel comfortable progressing in the skill set of feeling comfortable in front of a camera. Also comfortability in sharing these thoughts and essentially some pretty vulnerable, I hope, to reach like a state where I can share everything transparently so that everybody can be 100% part of this journey, right? And I just, for the sake of it, added handwriting because my handwriting was I couldn't read it 4 weeks ago. And so what you're seeing right now is essentially me starting to plan stuff on paper for the first time in my life. And this is where we're at now. I'm making pretty decent titles. But when I have to write a bit faster, it kind of stalls. And I thought, just for the sake of it, since we can track these things, we're going to do it once a week, I'm thinking. What if we add something like handstand, just for fun? Let's see if I can get past, I think I'm a bit better than 4 seconds, but I set it low so that eventually we can reach an actual handstand. I thought it would be fun to keep track of. So where did I plan on hanging this one? Like they can obviously be moved around, so it's not so bad. And I would have put magnets in either corner, but I'm running out. And these that I bought from Amazon, they're not strong enough to hold a piece of paper, so I don't know what they are supposed to be good for. So that's the day, but strategically speaking, I will just go through everything. I made a new framework for how to plan the day, which is this I will present now to make it easier to present the daily progress on certain aspects, right? So for now, the goal is to create and first edit the video, both videos, have a call. We'll also have to do some bureaucracy before we get to 5, the 17th hour. Then I will create a new daily workout plan. Right now, the workout routine is essentially pretty much just me picking some exercise based on what day it is. Is it back day, leg day? Then there's the supplement framework. That's a difficult one. This one I'm pretty sure won't be done today, even though it's super important. Week start framework, I also started progressing on that one. Remake morning standard operational procedure tracking, it's very important. Improve camera setup. Now you can't see the camera setup, but both of these cameras are pretty vulnerable and pretty poorly, like with a mirror. So that's the idea. At this very point, I will just make decision on what we have to cut out. So I think right now I can already state we won't have enough time for this one. So we're gonna make it a bare bones framework. Skeleton? Whatever. Simple. Remake. This is easy but important. 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 So I think we're gonna go priority wise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one, 0, minus 1, minus 2, right? These has to be done. Bureaucracy. What was it? I have it there. Let's go through this. So, today, record, edit, pretty straightforward. Dashboard. This is all the changes I've made. I made new decision folders, I made major decision papers, to-do stacks. I've cleaned up in general, organized a bit, reconfigured the dashboard. As you can see, it's a bit more organized and thought through. Remounted some magnets because I'm running out. Took out the trash to look for more curtains. Sometimes people throw out curtains, and I was hoping to find another one of these. This one is actually from the trash, so it's quite lucky. I see them once in a while, but unluckily today that's not the case. And if we take a look at the, actually, I guess I'll take it out. So these are essentially major decisions that can be made throughout this project, or that has to be made in order to salvage the situation. Fire the last employee. I have a certain way I can get an additional $2,000 income without too much work. And there's a possibility of negotiation. There's a project U that I can't really disclose at this point. Starting the marketing plan, reveal project to people who knows me. It's pretty hard to film with a mirror. So all of the big major decisions that has to be done throughout, right? Also this selling assets, I thought it wouldn't be necessary if I could execute quickly enough on this project. But I don't think I'm going to be able to salvage the situation without getting rid. And so the problem about selling assets is the time it takes to convert laptops. I have like 3 laptops that could be sold easily, 3 GPUs, maybe 4, 5, 6. But the problem here is they might not be working. Same with the motherboards. I could sell the cameras I'm not using right now, but in general. I have some simple servers that I could sell, not the large language model servers. Should be easy to convert. The iMacs, of course, but I also plan on using those. Easily sellable assets, I think maximum $3,000. And the reason why I cut it at that point is because if I try to sell some of the greater inventory, for example, the inventory in Ukraine, it will take so much time that the time frame for running the project will be pushed outside of a reasonable scope to even salvage the situation. And there is no proper way of evaluating if it's going to be worth it. So, yeah. That's that. Dashboard room is done. Let's just, I think it will feel very satisfying to just have a where are we going to put this? I'm going to put it over here. Man, I never, in my life, I haven't, never, ever handwritten anything. And so this was supposed to be the recording framework. But essentially, it evolved a bit. How to prepare for the recording mentally. This video flow paper system. Presentation stack. Video flow paper is like the bad one I made today, right? What can you do with that? But essentially it's me trying to tunnel my mind through some pipeline create the blueprints for what has to be done throughout the day. That's important. I'm lacking, no, I have that. Yeah, it's hanging over there. Okay, then there's some kind of unique, there's also the camera setup and everything. Here's the rest. Doesn't really matter. Recording framework is done. At least version 1, it's pretty much just a setup to the recording framework at this point. I think that's approximately around the center. So, framework for recording. And so the smart thing about this system is when we get to version 2 of the recording framework, we just pick it down and put another one on top. See, I've done that. Huh. Yeah. There's the editing framework. Should not put the title so close to the top. Sticky. We have 5 magnets left. What is the distance? Got 2 of these. Let's just try. All right. Editing framework. These are the ones I'm gonna use from now on. And this is super bare bones in terms of trying to get it done as quickly as possible, and of course sacrificing quality. But first off, I don't have the time to edit the videos proper, but second off, it will prevent me from creating the videos in the first place, making that barrier of entry too high. Let's just write this is done, otherwise you wouldn't see the video. The new camera setup. This is something I have to physically set up, right? The USB hub, using the other phone. Now this one, as you can see, has certain issues, which the other one has even more of, but the other one I can mount permanently. I don't need the phone. So that's that. Remake tracking setup, I haven't made anything on that. Supplement framework, here's the requirements for what it needs to do. Here's how I should do it. This is the actual way I plan on setting up these frameworks from now on. The process described how I should go about creating them. Weekly preparation framework, so Sunday, start of a new week. I have to go through the following habits. I have to adjust the strategy. I have to create a weekly plan and monthly planning if necessary. A bunch of other things. Essentially, Sunday is completely different than everything else. It's to catch up on all of the things that's otherwise put off. And this will be the evening framework. I write estimates in the top right corner. This is email, some governmental. Oh yeah, this is why I can't put it off today. We will see, because I received some tax-related information that I haven't checked. And something I don't like checking, because essentially they could be saying, you owe us, now is the time to pay up, or liquidation. I thought it would be interesting to make the net worth visible, mainly for like potential perspective. Some, I don't know, like this is the starting point that we have to turn around. And I think it's really hard for me to emphasize, and it's been something I've been up against my whole life. How do I communicate my good intentions in life, right? Because the point isn't to earn money. The point is to have a positive impact. But unfortunately, that isn't possible without net worth. You have no impact, no influence, political or otherwise. So yeah, got to turn that around first. Starts not today. Today is more planning. And here we have some decisions I've prepared. Very interesting. Some decisions we have to make today. This is why I wrote at the top of the paper, man, there's so many things that went wrong yesterday that I didn't emphasize, because this is today. What also went wrong is I received a message from my prior Now I only feel comfortable sharing this because nobody knows who he is. Whatever, partner. And essentially it's a bit like it's a long story, but it wasn't something I felt good about. The problem is essentially he doesn't believe that I'm trying throughout everything that I do towards him to be a good friend or whatever. So I sent him a screenshot because obviously I'm under a lot of pressure. I'm trying to work all the time, non-stop, every day, trying to salvage this situation here, which he doesn't see. So when he wrote, essentially I helped him plan how he should take his, we broke up a business and stuff, and now he has another business, and he was kind of on a bear, like had to restart what he was working on, and we spent the whole day together planning, and that was kind of like burying the hatchet, saying like, here's what we're gonna do, now we're gonna be friends again. And then he sends me this message, like eventually he also said that he wanted to, it's already been 45 minutes, I should stop talking so much. I think it will make these videos a lot quicker. The problem is that I try to do something to kind of say like, here, look, I've always tried to do my best at every opportune moment, but I just don't have the resources to do my best towards everybody, right? And so when I sent him and say sorry, or I wrote, hey, the reason why I'm not responding to your message, it had been left on, I hadn't responded to him for 2 or 3 days, is because I am not responding to anyone for the past 3 days, right? Nobody knows I'm doing this kind of challenge here. And I sent a screenshot of the fact that I'm not responding to anyone. And he says, or he sees that as me like kind of bragging that I'm not responding to people and that I'm proud of not responding. And I just kind of wanted him to see it as like, you know, what it really is. The fact that I really want to get back to people, but there's so much mental bandwidth in communication and keeping people informed, or eventually you just reach a limit where you have to prioritize, right? I'm prioritizing this, and then I'm like 3 or 4 days delayed getting back to people, and he sees that as me being an asshole. Unfortunately, I try to explain that I'm just under a lot of pressure, and that my financial situation requires me to put my full focus on what I'm doing, and that then he wrote something, and then I wrote, and now I feel like, oh, I'm not telling all this to nobody. Right now I'm trying to justify the way that I'm feeling and the reason why I'm not dealing with this situation. But it gets down to him having disconnect between why I'm acting the way I am. And I said to him, look, it's probably also one of the major reasons why we're not hanging out so much, is because you view me in a way that I don't view myself. And I want to correct that, but the corrections get put aside. And so, and then he wrote something to my rebuke or whatever, and now it's kind of escalating. And it's just, what do? Do I solve it? Do I react? Do I not react? Do I try to prevent? I don't remember why I wrote that. The major problem is that this is causing so much like mental strain, right? That it pops up in my mind. I feel unfairly treated because he sees me as an asshole and I'm not an asshole. And I have to convince him that I'm not an asshole. And so this is why I have to make a decision on this. This is why it's under decisions. We'll put this as a decision for today. You can get back. Maybe it's exciting to see if I'm going to make a decision on it or not. Then I have the offboarding meetings, which is I have to make a decision if I should keep spending, I spend currently maybe 5 hours a week on just helping my prior employees get back on their feet after being laid off. But it's costing time, but maybe more importantly, mental bandwidth in trying to get back to them. You know, like, hey, we're waiting for your message or something like that. When is the next meeting going to be scheduled? And this is really hard because it's again me conflicting between wanting to be a really good person, but I think maybe what I can do is pick a permanent date or day and then cut the meetings in half. 6 hours. We'll consider that solved. So I used to have cleaning or a cleaning helper coming once or twice a week to clean the office. No, it's just me, so there's not so much, and I do it myself. But she sometimes brought her husband, who's studying a master's, and of course I'm not paying them anymore. Now here's the difficult thing: I would have said no to anyone who don't have time for an intern, even if they're working for free. But if I, and this is where it's like, I essentially feel almost like I shouldn't even say this thought process, because I think it feels like a wrong, it feels like a moral problematic approach. And I think I can only justify it by saying that I want to long-term do the best for the world, right? So the idea would be this: yes, and obviously I need to understand, I need more information. And then it has to be below one day weekly. Or work from home. But this is in a situation where I don't think I'm going to get anything really productive, like code quality wise, out of taking on an intern. I think it's going to cost me more time than I'm going to get out of it, especially trying to train, even with AI, someone. Especially when we have, there's such a large code base, and I can't just give them access. There's simply too much at stake with that code base. So I would have to think really hard and a long time about how can I segment tasks that will be beneficial to the project. So, yeah. This is a scenario, and that's why if it feels so wrong. Let's collect information first. I'm gonna ask if I can get some free house cleaning once in a while. And the reason why this is maybe beneficial is because this person said they had a really hard time getting an internship, and I can understand why, but we can make a form of trade, because right now I'm wasting maybe 6 hours a week doing cleaning related tasks, right? If I can recover some of that by having an intern that I will also help train, and maybe could be beneficial, maybe it will turn out positively. But I'm just thinking it's so much, it's regardless, it's gonna be a cost just to the mental bandwidth, right? There's too many things that already have to be kept track of, and adding an intern is a massive mental drain, regardless if I get 6 extra hours of cleaning for free or whatever. So that's my difficult, it's a difficult one. I would call it a dilemma, not a decision. I'll call it, that's the least I can do. All right, that's the new framework. I think long term, we should focus on trying to get me to be more comfortable in front of the camera, maybe fix the camera setup a bit. So that we can increase the quality slightly. Right now, I think the primary costs are the mental drain of doing these daily. That has to be overcome early, quickly. And that's by implementing a framework around it that includes some form of mental state management, right? Because even though I seem very maybe relaxed, people usually say that. On the inside, it's kind of, because you don't know me, you don't know how I usually behave. And so in this exact situation, I feel very limited in the way that I can communicate and talk, and it becomes very atypical, very calculated, very monotone, not the relaxed kind of like, we're just kind of gonna do this and that, and it's all gonna be great. Everything becomes very serious. And normally I'm more like, so we have a bankruptcy looming, both personally and financially, for the company here. I spent 11 years building, but I'm gonna take it as a journey, and that's like, I'm trying to make up how I would behave usually, right? But it's not an easy thing to do. I had a thought process behind why I said that. The reason I said that was it's crucially and very fundamental that I become authentic on camera. And then when I have established an authentic self, we can focus on improving, like, what is a good video, what should be inside a good video. Because right now I'm just focusing on creating content. Like, it took 1 hour to go through all this. I should also focus on just making it quicker, because spending 1 hour talking to myself just for the sake of it, I probably don't learn enough from having a 1 hour video. I think it's just time. I have a mouse on here. It's time, and it's progressing. And so the next progression, I'm thinking, is moving on to maybe video logs of my own individual projects, in terms of like daily talking about what I'm working on to optimize things outside of this room, right? What goes on in the rest of the office, right?